Hi, it's Gene, retired in Mexico, and we ask one question on this channel, which is, do they write them and do they sing them like they used to? A lot of people, young and old, they think the old music is better, but I'm not so sure. And today is Master Monday, so what is that? Well, I do know a thing or two about 21st century. I'm not able to react to everything. Not everything is a first listen. So sometimes on Mondays, I allow myself to pick something I already know. And today we're going to hit up Fleet Foxes. Now, the most highly regarded album of theirs, I think, is their debut. But which I love the debut. But this second album, Helplessness Blues, which didn't do quite as well, I really respond to this album. I think it's beautiful and complex. So I was just reading up on this song. So even though I've known it for 10 years, it's 10 years old now, and I've listened to it a number of times, I haven't done a deep dive into it the way I did today. So it's a breakup song, okay. But what Robin said, the singer and lyricist, he said he was listening to John Coltrane's Ascension, and Coltrane would do these like sheets of music, right? So he wanted to capture that, and he said as a musician he couldn't, perform at that level of jazz, but he wanted to take a breakup song and do these sections and these little emotional sections. This is an 8-minute song, so we'll get right into it. And a lot of you have either heard this, hopefully you're along to listen to it again, because if you're like me, I haven't listened to this in a long time. I just played about a minute of it. I was like, oh man, that is great. So let's go ahead and play this, and I'll chat a little bit over it, but I think for the most part it's so beautiful. We'll just listen to it. Here we go. So right away, that opening acoustic guitar or nylon guitar or whatever it is.
I went down among the dust and pollen to the old stone fountain in the morning after dawn. Underneath were all these pennies fallen from the hands of children. They were there and then were gone. And I wonder what became of them. What became of them? Sunlight over me, no matter what I do. Apples in the summer are cold and sweet.
So now a new section. And then the harmonies. Still that nylon guitar or whatever it is.
I'm not one to ever pray for mercy or to wish on pennies in the fountain or the shrine. But that day, I left my money and I thought of you only, all that copper glowing fine. And I wonder what became of you, what became of you. Sunlight over me, no matter what I do. Apples in the summer, all cold and sweet. Every day a passing complete. Apples in the summer, all cold and sweet. Every day a passing complete.
Got two guitars now. Oh, and there's okay, now we have a new section. Keyboards. This is really a complex piece. Oh, changing the register there. little bit of urgency in that beat.
In the morning, waking up to terrible sunlight. All that feels like skin abuse, the sun is half its size. When you talk, you hardly even look in my eyes. In the morning, in the morning. In the doorway, holding every letter that I wrote. In the driveway, pulling away, putting on your coat. In the ocean, washing off my name.
So I really should pause this once, just because it might get blocked. And but all this rural imagery. So we talked about the apples in the orchard, and then the sunlight, and putting on the coat, and this song is just, well, the whole album actually, but this song in particular is just so filled with all these rustic, rural, outdoor nature type things, and it's beautiful. So it kind of almost reminds me of British folk rock, like Fairport Convention and Pentangle and those folks that did all that. Even though it's very American sounding in the vocals, I mean they're from Seattle, but it's just got that. I don't know. British folk just had kind of a different lyric and a different vibe, and it reminds me of that. And I love it. I just love it. So let's keep going on this. Yeah, it's really, the drums are interesting on that. I didn't remember how they were almost crashing at one point. It was very interesting.
From your throat. In the morning, in the morning.
In the morning.
In the ocean, washing off my name from your throat. In the morning, in the morning.
So now a new section. It's so ambient. Could almost be Brian Eno right now.
Green apples hang from my tree. They belong only to me.
Is that a harmonium?
Green apples hang from my green apple tree. They belong only to me. And if I just stay a while here staring at the sea, and the waves break ever closer, ever near to me, I will lay down in the sand and let the ocean lead.
Sand, ocean.
Carry me to Innisfree like pollen on the breeze.
Bass kicking in now. Great tones on the guitar, and now we got that gorgeous piano. Saxophone. I forgot about this part. Now here's the Coltrane influence, right? Just free jazz. That's what a breakup feels like, sounds like. that keyboard keeps it anchored. And that lovely understated drumming. You got some strings now. And I think those are real strings. Almost sounds like just the cello and the viola. And that's it. That's the ending. Yeah, very emotional. And I like the ambience of it. So, I mentioned that part that sounded like Brian Eno a little bit, or that kind of music, but right before that were these a cappella choral parts, and you could really hear the room. You could hear that studio. So I really like that. I like that these guys do this folk rock symphony thing with a lot of ambience, a little bit of jazz element there, and usually when you throw in the kitchen sink, it's a big mess, right? But these guys, it all makes sense. And yeah, that sax comes in kind of suddenly, but I think it's emotional. I like that. So I don't want to belabor the point here. It was a long song. I haven't heard this in a couple of years, and it's just as good as I remembered it. So not everyone's cup of tea, but I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. And this song rewards on repeated listenings. This is the best, or I should say the most enjoyable listen I've ever had that I can think of. It just keeps getting better every time I listen to it. Fleet Foxes 2012, the longest track on Helplessness Blues, their sophomore album, though they did have one or two EPs prior to that. But Seattle, Washington, people referred to these bands as beard rock at the time. I remember that. But man, just hits such a sweet spot in their command of melody and Robin's voice. Isn't that the highlight, really? Just love it. So thanks for joining me on the channel, and we'll go back to a reaction next video. So as we say here in Mexico, buen dia, and hit the like or subscribe button if you like what we're doing. Take care.